Monterey County is open for business. And in our last segment today, you're going to find a person who I totally adore, but who actually writes every day about something that's going on in this county, and whether it's business or education or culture, really has her fingers on what's going on. So we're going to learn a lot. But also she's an author, and I love what she's written, not just for us in the Herald, but what she writes from her heart. So, Claudia Melendez Salinas, welcome.
Thank you, Mary Ann. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's a real honor. I'm thrilled.
I love this.
Oh,
I love
great.
it. We never get to just kind of like sit and talk. You're always on a deadline.
I know. The last time we did that was when I interviewed you before you got roasted.
Oh.
And we sat down for like an hour, and it was great. It was such a treat to get all your stories of all your rascally things you do.
Well, the older you get, the more you got.
Oh, you know what? Being rascally is such a treat.
So you have been with the Herald now how long?
Since 2005.
Wow.
I took a 1-year break, 8 months break when I went on to do my master's. I was very fortunate that the administrators gave me a 1 year off so I could study my master's when I went to USC. Got my master's in journalism, specialized journalism. But other than that, just, so what is it, 11 years?
Wow.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
Time's
a lot
flying.
of changes. Yeah, yeah.
And so I know that I just want to talk about the Herald a second. So you all have like areas of expertise or areas that you're assigned. So
Right.
you are education
Mostly.
and community.
Yeah, so my main focus should be education, but because staff has been reduced, I also cover a lot of immigration, which is a very hot topic these days. I do some of social issues, women's issues, youth issues, and when we don't have a cops reporter, I also cover the courts. I might cover the environment. So, but yeah, my main focus is education.
So, and you do a terrific job with it. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, I'm so in awe of some of the interesting stories that you tell that, you know how nosy I am, but even I didn't know some of this stuff that was going on. I think our schools are really pretty remarkable in their broad depth of what they are exposing our children to.
Well, I completely agree. And one of the thing that I find fascinating is, like, I think we have people complain a lot about the schools, and I think it's human nature tends to pick up more the negative than the positive, right? So people complain, oh, the school's bad, whatnot. Actually, the schools are really good. If you think about what they have to do with the resources they do, I think they do a remarkable job. We have an 80 to 90% graduation rate in Monterey County. When you think about the socioeconomic level we have, and you think about how many English learners we have, I think that is a pretty good rate of graduation.
I would agree.
And and it's mostly public schools. So I don't know. I mean, people like to complain a lot, but if you think about it, schools are doing a pretty good job. Teachers are very hardworking, and yes, we do have bad apples here and there, but that is the exception and not the rule. So.
Well, and I think we're lucky because we're culturally diverse in so many of these areas that people really get exposure to other cultures and other ways of doing things. And they all come together in the schools. So I think it's so important. But I'm sure it's difficult on the teachers because if you get 4 or 5 children who speak another language or 3 or 4 languages as their native language, it has to be difficult.
Right. It is difficult, but also at the same time, children are so adaptable. They're just like little sponges. And when you also allow children to help each other, it also makes things a lot easier as well. And so if but that's why professional development is important, so that teachers know that it's good for them to let other kids help you around. And that's why it's important also for English learners to be in schools where there's also other native English speakers, because then it will be their native speaker peers who will help them strengthen and acquire their language skills. So, so many pieces of this puzzle, really, yeah.
Well, my firstborn was born in Italy, actually 47 years ago today.
Oh, happy birthday!
But when we moved back to Italy, she was 2. And I had a 4-month-old, so I put her in the asilo, which is the Italian preschool. And it's run by the Catholic Church. And so she went every day, and she put on her little uniform and went down there. And she was the youngest child there and the only child who spoke English. But within just a few months, she could speak perfect Italian with a Padavani dialect. And I remember when we moved out of out of Tribano, Italy, the movers told me that it was a really hot day, and they told me, could I please tell the little girl that was downstairs to go home? And I said, I think that she's mine. And he's like, no, she's a Padavani. And I was like, no, I think she's mine. So I went and looked, and of course, she was standing down there telling him what to do at age 3. And with a perfect Italian Padavani dialect.
Wow.
So I think children want to belong, they want to get along, and if you will let them go play and they find a level with other kids, they are social beings, and they don't want to just sit and, no, I only speak this and you only speak that. They will figure it out. So I think I'm a huge fan of immersion and of learning. So. Yeah,
and it works
good.
really well. We have in the county several bilingual dual immersion schools. One of them is Seaside. It's called the Dual Immersion Academy of Monterey. And they're doing really well. And there's a lot of things that go into it, right? So there's small size school, which also helps. And it's 50-50. But I think that it's a very good way of teaching children 2 languages. And you're right, when the younger they are, the faster they will learn it. I mean, they're little sponges. They just soak up everything.
So mine, and then we'll get off this topic, but I would go to the store and I would say to the lady in Tribano, where we were the only Americans, well, actually there was another couple, and I would say, I'd point to something and smile and go, uno, and she'd go, pomodoro. And I'd go, and she'd say, no. And she would make me say it to her before she'd sell it to me.
Oh my gosh. That was your Italian lessons, right?
That's how I learned Italian, because she wasn't selling me my vegetables or my meat or anything else.
Cute.
I couldn't buy a gas bottle for my stove unless I would learn to say bombola. So, it was just kind of funny that it's just how it was. But I'm always grateful to her that she forced me, instead of just smiling and being friendly and I could get by, she made me say it. And my Italian was actually pretty good after 3 years of that.
Well, that's the problem with adults, is that we're so self-conscious, right?
Yeah.
And we don't want to sound dumb or whatever. That's why we don't learn, because you learn by practicing, and kids don't have that. So they just like, it's okay if we make mistakes. They still don't have that ego thing going.
Yeah, that's good.
So, yeah, I know.
Okay, so you stepped out of your comfort zone.
Yes.
And you wrote a novel.
I know, it's right here. So proud of it, my baby, my first book.
The first of many.
The first of many, I hope. One of these days, I'm writing another one right now, but, with work and everything, it's hard to find the time.
Life gets in the way.
Life gets in the way. You have to get up. There's only so many days I can get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to write. Back in 2005, a friend of mine and I had been saying, we're going to write a book. And so we sat down 1 month and said, okay, this is the month we're going to do it, during National Novel Writing Month, which is this thing that is happening all over the country, right? And I sat down in November 1st and I started writing. I need to write a novel, but I don't know what I'm going to write it about. But by the end of the month, it's going to be 50,000 words. That was my first chapter, right? At the time, Salinas was cutting funding for its libraries and for community centers. And I happened to need to go cover a hearing at the Bread Box, which is a community center in Salinas, where they were going to close it down or do something with it, rearrange it. So I went and I observed this group of young men who were boxing at the time. And I thought, oh my God, this is my story. These are my kids. This is the story I'm going to tell. Because when you're a journalist, you only have, especially for a daily newspaper, you only have 600 words, which is 15 inches, which is nothing, to write a story. And I felt at the time I was very frustrated because as a journalist, I felt like I wanted to tell a longer story that I couldn't in just one article.
You were giving the appetizer instead of the whole meal
exactly,
every day.
exactly. So yeah, I wanted to have a feast, right? I wanted to have the appetizer and the main course and the soup and the salad and this is it, right? Eventually, that's what happened. A Fighting Chance is the story of a young boy who I saw. His name is Miguel Angel. He wants to be a boxer, and he's training to be a boxer. He attends one of the schools, and he comes from a migrant family. But he faces the challenges that are of that area, which is a lot of poverty, a lot of, overcrowding conditions, and the gang allure for some kids, not too many. Most of the kids in Salinas are really good kids. And I know that they get very frustrated because they feel like they get painted with a brushstroke of being gang members, which the vast majority are not. But I did not want to ignore that either, because I think that Miguel Angel is not one of them. He is a good kid, but he does have a friend who is being pulled in by the lure of the gang. So it's this story. It's also a love story. He's in love with a girl from Pebble Beach. It's fiction. And that's the story unfolds. And I had a lot of fun writing it. It's gotten really good reviews. And what else can I tell you about it? People really seem to enjoy it. People who actually read it and tell me it's very engaging. I just had a woman who interviewed me for Latina magazine. She said the last few chapters, it was just a gripping story. I just could not put it down. So, yeah, it was fun. It was fun. And it took me 9 years from the moment I started to when it got published, because that's how long the process is for somebody who works full-time and has family and whatnot.
So in that first month, how far did you get?
In that first month, I did 50,000 words, and it was pretty much the whole story, except that, it was really uglily told. It was like full of cliches and whatnot, right? So it was just the first month is just like, write, get it out there. So I wasn't even thinking. It was just like, okay. And every night, my friend and I...
Kind of like a stream of consciousness.
It was really much like just put it out there, right? And but by the end of the month, I had a solid draft and then I worked the next year to polish it. So it took me a year to polish that 1 month stream of consciousness writing. And then I got an agent, and the agent polished it. I had to change the ending like 3 or 4 times. And the agent didn't really think that she could work with it. So then I had to go look for another agent. And more rewriting. Writing is rewriting, so I had to do a lot of rewriting for this. But that's what every author come to find out. They all do. And eventually, it was picked up by Arte Público Press to publish, which is one of the most important publishers of Latino literature in the United States, the oldest. And the publisher there, Dr. Nicolas Canelos, he did a lot of very heavy editing, and here it is. Yeah.
Your firstborn.
My firstborn, yes. It's been really exciting to have it, and I'm ready for my second one, but I need to find the time to actually write it.
What's the topic going to be?
The topic for the second one is also going to be a little bit historical. I think I'm very inspired by Steinbeck and what he does as far as doing a little bit of what's in the news, but more fictional, because we like stories as human beings. We love stories. So it's a story of a girl who's growing up in LA. She's a Latina, but she was born in Mexico and brought to the United States illegally. And that's the story of many, many young people who are Latino origin here in the country. So she has an uncle who's a little bit eccentric, and they live in Los Angeles. And this will take place actually around the same time of this novel, but this is about when young people who are undocumented became more outspoken about them wanting to have legal status in this country. So that's basically the backdrop. And
so they became more willing to advocate for themselves.
Exactly. They learn more about their history and then wanting to, be recognized and whatnot. So
I love it.
Yeah, it's fun. Right now I'm kind of like stuck in the middle because I need to push the story forward and I don't know how to, but it'll get there, I'm sure.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
So where can we find the book?
Oh, okay. So we have it there. They have it at the Steinbeck Center, All Capital Books here in Monterey, Star Market in Salinas, and also online, Arte Público Press and Amazon, and my website also, which is fighting-chance.org.
Okay, fighting-chance.org.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll look forward to the next one.
Yes, me too. I have to. Goodness gracious, I have to get going, right?
Well, it's kind of like me. I keep every day, I think, I'm going to needlepoint today, and I don't pick it up. And I just have to say, okay, I'm going to take 2 hours and put everything aside, and that's it.
Do you actually get to do that? I mean, like, how disciplined are you about that?
I haven't done it in several months. And this morning I was just like, tomorrow I am going to make a date with myself, and I am going to spend a couple hours and just get back into it. Because once I pick it up and start doing it, then I will not want to put it down.
That's exactly what happens with me. Once I start, and it's funny because I know that once I start, like one day, it will be like a whole week or 2 weeks. Yeah. And that's what I need to do. And it hasn't happened this month, but hopefully soon.
So Claudia, thank you so much for everything you do for this community, because you really are a voice for this community, and I so appreciate it.
Thank you, Mary Ann. I really appreciate that.
You're really good. So here we go. A Fighting Chance, Claudia Melendez Salinas. Pick it up, read it, and it's fighting-chance.org if you want to buy it online. And don't go anyplace else without a book. That's what I'm telling you. You got to read. So I'm Mary Ann Leffel. I'm your host. This is Monterey County, and we are open for business. Thank you. We'll see you next time.